Devorah here, and thank you for spending this time with me. So I'm going to talk about quick thinking, taking action when you know that you know something, and this directly relates to intuition and developing your intuition. So at one point in time, they were working on the road between Ukiah and Willits, California, and it was a one-lane road. So even though it was Highway 101, they had traffic stop for up to half an hour at a time, allowing people to either go northbound or southbound. And I was going northbound from Ukiah to Willits, and I noticed a big, huge fire had erupted. It was called Reeves Canyon Road. They had put a fire out there earlier that day, and the embers must have gotten some extra oxygen, and the fire was reigniting. And the traffic was allowed to go north. And I was in a beat-up old Datsun pickup, and I just knew that the fire engines were trapped in the northbound lane going south, and the Caltrans traffic person was allowing people to go in the northern direction, and the southbound lane, was completely blocked. So I decided to do something. So I just took my pickup truck and pulled it sideways across the traffic, and I said, "Ma'am, you cannot let us go to the north. Call up the CAL FIRE, find out where the engines are, and let the engines come to the south." Well, she was very agitated. She said, you move your truck out of the way. You're stopping the traffic. I'm in charge here. You're supposed to go north. I'm calling the highway patrol. You're in a lot of trouble. I said, "Don't call the highway patrol. Call CAL FIRE and see if their fire engines are in fact stopped in that traffic. We need to get the fire engines to that fire right there." And I pointed to the fire, and it was very obvious that we were going to have another large-scale fire in the forest. And she wasn't thinking on her feet, and she was just really adamant that I was breaking the law, and she was going to call the highway patrol and get me in trouble. Well, the guy behind me in a full-size pickup got out of his pickup, and he heard that whole conversation, and he looked at me and he said, "What makes you think that the fire engines are sitting there?" I'm like, "I've been by here twice today. I've had a really bad day. I've needed parts from Ukiah, and I've seen the engines coming back and forth. They put out the fire is reigniting. I believe that there are a lot of fire trucks going back and forth taking care of the situation. I really believe that there are fire engines stopped in that traffic that will be in that traffic stopped for half an hour unless we take this situation into our own hands." I'm like, "Would you like to join me?" He thought it a minute, and he goes, "I'm in." I said, "You have to be 100% in, because I'm going to get the fire engines, and I'm going to have them come in the southbound direction. You have to stop all this traffic. The Caltrans woman is not going to help you." He goes, "Yeah," and he just went and put his pickup truck blocking the traffic. And he says, "I'm totally in." I'm like, "Okay." Pedal to the metal in the northbound direction, going to look for fire engines. And in fact, there were an entire string of fire engines. Now, when I pointed at the fire engine and I go, "You, behind me, you, behind me," they were all shocked, and then they did the same thing. They were shocked, and then they went right behind me. So they weren't ready to take directions from a young female, but in fact, they saw that nobody was behind me, that I was on the road by myself. Somehow or another, I had figured out how to get them to the fire. They could see the smoke for this fire. There were trees. It was a forest fire going up. They were happy to get there and put out the fire. So this is just quick thinking, acting in an emergency situation, taking control, and relying on my intuition, it has served me very well. It's served the forest at Reeves Canyon very well. I don't have any kind of fame or notoriety for this event. It was something that I was happy to do to help the forest. But I'm explaining this to you to allow you to work on your feelings. So I'm talking about quick thinking, following your gut instinct. And when I'm saying gut instinct, I really am talking about this third chakra, the stomach. People say, I had a feeling in my stomach. So we're getting out of the conscious mind. We're actually trying to drop deeper than the heart chakra, the fourth chakra, and we're going to the third chakra, the solar plexus chakra, where you feel something in your gut. You know, when we ask little children, or when we're trying to educate them about sexual abuse, we say, you know it in your belly when somebody is touching you, when you're having a bath, when it's a good touch or it's not so good touch. You just know. You know in your stomach when some stranger asks you to go do something and you feel it's not right. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about our third chakra. We're talking about that gut-wrenching feeling, and we're talking about really getting in touch with what you know, and taking some action on it. So there are a lot of little ways where I have used my intuition in my life, and it served me here. Somehow or another, my house is magically feng shuied. The fire and the cook stove are on the south. The water, the bathrooms are all on the north. The entrance is perfectly aligned to my better Bagua feng shui Chinese placement naturally. These are things that I didn't know that I know, but somehow or another I did the right thing. So I'm the kind of person that often thinks, I've had this childhood abuse, I've been out of my body, I'm not very in touch. But when I look back, I find all these little pearls of wisdom where I knew, and I know that you can do that same thing. We can help you develop your intuition, and if you would like to work with me, go to devorahstern.com. You're very welcome, and thank you for spending this time with me.